how do you buy land in Kenya? What is the process of buying land in Kenya? This is one of the questions that we have received over a period of time from our audience, from our viewers, and from our customers all over. My name is Reuben Kimani. I'm the CEO, Username Investment Limited. Welcome to Real Estate in Kenya with Reuben Kimani. I believe you have heard enough adverts about land being sold somewhere in Nairobi, Kajiado, Machakos, somewhere in Nakuru, somewhere in Naivasha, or you have watched many adverts on TV, some in social media being sponsored, about land being sold or properties being sold. And you're wondering, how do I plug in? As you all know, property gives the biggest returns, and that's why you'll find so many people coming to this industry, trying to offer some solutions to it. But not everyone is genuine out there, not everyone is honest out there. So you need to follow through a process and some steps for you to be able to acquire properties in Kenya. I'll be covering in brief of some of the things that you need to do to be able to secure your investment, be able to buy properties in Kenya. Let me start off by saying it is very important to involve a lawyer in the transaction from the beginning. Some of these basic steps that I'm going to share I've learned over time. These are very practical, but we work with a panel of lawyers. So I'll just advise you, but remember to involve a lawyer from the beginning. The first thing after you get that advert, it is very important to consider your budget. I think that's where we all start, so that you know what kind of property that you can be able to afford. There are companies that are focusing so much on affordability, companies like Username. You'll find that with less than $500,000, you can be able to acquire a property in Kenya. But you need to consider the budget that you have so that you can know what kind of property that you can be able to acquire. There are properties that are for investment, properties going for less than $500,000 in some areas, maybe say like at least 50 kilometers from Nairobi. There are properties that are more expensive for immediate construction in gated communities. They go for even 3 million for an eighth of an acre, 5 million. In some places, you can even find it for 10 million. So it is good to know your budget. The other thing that is very important is good to know what is the use of that property. There are two main uses. Number one is for investment. If you compare real estate with many other vehicles, it gives the best return. You may decide to buy land instead of buying stocks. Instead of buying treasury bills, you can decide to buy land. There are those choices that you can be able to make. So it can be for investment or immediate residential development. You want to have a home and you want to start building from tomorrow. So you have to consider and ask yourself, what is the property for? Because the location of that property will matter. If the property is 100 kilometers away, you may not be able to construct there, come to work and go back. It's not possible. If you need a property for immediate construction, it has to be within commute distance. Right now, we have a lot of infrastructure projects coming in, like SGR. You may live even in Konza and come to town in 25 minutes. So it is very good to consider what the property is for. Once you have all those details in order, now you can be able to go to the next step. It is very important as the next step to consider the companies that you're engaging in. I'm saying this because in real estate, I believe you have had companies that have since gone down. And you don't want to buy with a company that can go down any time. What is important to check is record of completed projects. Projects that where titles have been given. If it is housing, you need to see maybe they have been able to do several housing projects where the houses have been built and completed and handed over to the homeowners. So a record of delivery is important in terms of title and completed projects. Then you can be able to choose the company you want to engage in. There are so many companies advertising, but if you're able to go to their website, to social media, ask people, or even very important is good for the site visit. You can be able to identify that. So you have, number one, to recap, you have considered your budget, you have considered the use of the property, and number three, you have narrowed down to the organizations you want to work with. The next thing you need to do, go for a site visit. Go and see that land. I have had situations where you find so many people who are buying land, but for many months they never go and see the land. If you are not able to see that property, ensure you don't pay everything. Just pay a small booking. You find companies asking you book with maybe even 10%. Pay that small booking so that the plot does not get taken by other parties, bought by other parties. Then ensure you go and see the plot, even if not right away, later. That's the next process. It is very important to see what you are buying, and when you go and see, can be able to make a faster decision. You can be able to see the area, you can be able to judge for yourself, you can be able to know many other things, the terrain, you can be able to confirm whether what the company is saying is true. There are so many things. So you'll be able to do a site visit. You also at the same point need to ask for documentation. Ask the company or the seller to give you a copy of title. You'll find that the land process takes time. They should be able to have some documentation that either show ownership or show proof of maybe a transfer process that is ongoing. You'll find that what happens in real estate might take 6 months or even 1 year to transfer properties in some cases. So you'll find when companies are engaged, you'll find the transfer process ongoing. Get documentation and assurance to show that that process is ongoing. If the company doesn't have the property in their own name, it happens sometimes. So it is very important, and when you get that title, go and do a search at the lands office. Like I said, it's good to engage a lawyer from the beginning to be able to handle you, to help you with the process. But you'll find companies have lawyers, and they're able to take you through the process. Some companies will tell you, you don't need a lawyer. We have a battery of lawyers, or we manage the process for you. What you need is a confirmation process. So you have done the site visit and you have done the search. The next process that you need to go through, you need to visit these company offices or the seller just to check that these people exist. There are companies that don't have offices. There are people you cannot be able to know whether they are genuine or not until you step where they operate from. It's good to visit. If you are not able to visit, it's good to do your due diligence. We have Google right now. You can be able to check. You can even be able to go to company pages and see reviews there. Do some bit of due diligence. Go to their office. Check in social media. Check some reviews. Check whether they have a website, whether they have projects there. You'll be able to get so much. Check from friends. Most companies are known in this sector. So after that, maybe now you have been able to identify the property, you have seen the beacons, you have seen how the size is, you have seen the location, and you like it. And maybe this is the place where you need to put your investment. This is the place where you need to put your home in the next 1 year. And you are very excited about it. The next thing you need to do is documentation process. I'll share in brief. The first thing you fill is called a letter of offer. A letter of offer is basically designed to ensure you get the property. This is for booking purposes, reservation purposes, so that the property is not sold to another person. Most of the time you pay 10%. You pay 10%, you fill an offer letter. An offer letter is a document, it might be 1 page or 2 page, is also legally binding. It's like a small agreement to start you off. But now you have paid maybe a booking fee. The next thing you need to do is to start the transaction by signing the agreement. An agreement is a document between the seller and the buyer. Maybe this case, the company that is selling and you, the buyer. This is a legal contract. And this one covers both the buyer and the seller. This one is more detailed. It can be even 5 pages or more. It details everything about the transaction. Most companies will ask, depending on your payment mechanism, whether you are paying cash over a period of time. If you pay cash, you immediately sign the document and those terms will be put in the agreement. If you are paying by installment over a period of time, the company will require you maybe to pay more than the booking fee so that you can sign, and they'll say, assuming you are paying in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months or 12 months, they'll tell you this is where it is in the agreement. The agreement is also witnessed by a lawyer. A lawyer must be involved in the process, and they'll sign and say, I saw this person, and they'll sign and agree that the transaction can be able to start. So you need a letter of offer. It is not compulsory, but most companies that are responsible will give you the letter of offer, make you sign the letter of offer, but you need to sign the agreement, which is compulsory. The other thing, when you finish payment, something called transfer happens. Transfer is basically the process where you change from the seller's name to the buyer's name, to your names now. And that's where the government collects stamp duty. There's a process that is followed. You'll need to fill the transfer papers. These transfer papers comes in triplicate. They are in 3 copies. And all of them go to the lands office. So this is, you may not get a copy, but this goes to the lands office. But you fill them to just certify that you have, the property has been transferred from the seller to the buyer. Once you transfer that, fill those transfer documents, you'll be asked to provide your copy of KRA PIN, your copy of ID, and 3 passport size photos. Copy of KRA PIN, copy of ID, and 3 passport size photos. From there, the transaction is almost complete. And from there, you just wait for the time given by the company to produce the title deed. So some company will tell you, we'll do 3 months, others will do 6, others will do 1 year, others will do 2 years, depending on the jurisdiction where the titles are being produced. If you come to username, we'll give you 6 to 10 months for us to be able to produce that title after you make full payment. Those are some of the basic steps that you follow when you are buying land in Kenya. You just wait for your title. But after that, there's also some other processes that you have learned via experience. Because of the sensitive and emotive nature of land in Kenya, where you find there's a lot of fraud, people take over your land. There are people who even change titles through a collusion process, though it is a rare exception, though it happens. It is very important once you finish paying for your land, request of something called access from the seller of the land, in this case from the company. I'm saying that because you may need to fence the property. Fencing does 2 things. It adds value to the property. Number 2, fencing provides some sort of security to your property. Any property that a fence is very clear that that property belongs to someone. I'm saying this because in the past, when we started username, we were con 5 million shillings. And the only time we came to know you have been con is when we tried fencing. This guy, another person came up. So for you to be able to secure your property, consider fencing as soon as you finish making full payment. Just request for access from the company that is selling to you before they produce the title. But after the title is produced, the property is fully yours. You can do whatever you want to do with the property. So it is very important to fence. Always remember that. Once you have fenced the property, you can leave it for some few years. Then you can make periodic visits. There are people who bought property for many years, they have never checked. Make some periodic visits. Maybe, I would say once every year, go and see what is happening. You may be able to even know how to use the property, because if you go to areas like Gong where you have so many projects, things keep changing every day. Somebody who went 6 months ago, 6 to 1 year ago, there was no SGI. If you go right now, SGI is already almost being finished. For those who have not been there before, roads have been done, and many other places where you have bought property. Keep periodic visits. Once every year, I think, is very sufficient. so that you secure your property. We will be producing more of this educative content you don't want to miss. Please subscribe, comment, engage, and share.